It is Y105, Dubuque's #1 hit music station. My name is Steve Pulaski. My next guest is an author of children's and young adult novels with an extensive resume to her name. Her latest book, The Steps, is about a 14-year-old chess player faced with dark secrets and shifting alliances. Beyond that, she's the woman behind the Shredderman series, Sammy Keyes, and the award-winning novel Flip. She is Wendelin Van Draanen. She joins us now. How are you, Wendelin?
I'm doing great. Thanks for that wonderful introduction.
I appreciate it, Wendelin. I want to give you the opportunity to talk about your latest works. What is The Steps all about?
Oh, The Steps is like if Sammy Keyes, who is a middle school. She's a sleuth for middle schoolers. So like if she were to move up to high school, because my Sammy acts over the years, my fans that are Sammy Keyes fans have been begging me to write something in high school, and I just don't want to do that. I want to leave Sammy in the middle school arena and not have her go into high school. But I do love a good mystery. I love writing mysteries, and so this is a thriller mystery. The Steps is a story about a girl who's she's feeling rather abandoned by her situation at home and at school, and she is now in fear of her life because her father is remarried, and the Steps, who are her new stepbrother, stepsister, and evil stepmother, the only thing standing between them inheriting her family's fortune. So she's worried that they're out to end her. So I've had a really great time writing, another mystery, and having her be a chess whiz was super fun as well.
That book, The Steps, now available wherever you get your books. She is author Wendelin Van Draanen. How do you keep your pulse on children's and teens, Wendelin, especially now that you've been writing for multiple different generations?
Yeah, I used to say that, I still felt my protagonist, and actually I do. I mean, my husband says I'm stuck as a teen, and I really so many things affect you in life, and I think that for me, the middle school and early high school years and upper elementary, I mean, those are all very formative times, and I feel like there's a real importance in writing books that help kids connect with literature, because reading should be fun, but it should also give them a feeling of strength within themselves, like a feeling of uniqueness, like it's okay to be different from other people. It's okay to be yourself. So it used to be that I just felt like I really related to that age, and I do school visits now. So schools hire me to come in and give big presentations to their student body. So that's one way. And then I was a classroom teacher for 15 years, so that really helped me keep my finger on the pulse, as you say. And then I also have had 2 kids of my own that I've gone through all the stages of their growing years with them.
Your next book, Ghosted, is set to release on October 6th. Based on title, this could go a few different ways, I think, Wendelin. What is Ghosted all about?
Well, Ghosted is it's a romantasy. It's a romance between a girl who is she's turning 15, so she's a freshman in high school, and she has been able to see the ghosts in the graveyard. That it's an abandoned graveyard that's behind the alley from where she lives. She's been able to see ghosts since she was a little girl, and nobody else can, so she's stopped talking about it. But one of the ghosts in this graveyard is a boy who was killed when he was 15 years old, and he is in an unmarked grave there in the graveyard, but she can see his spirit. And so they become friends when she's a little girl, and then gradually over time she grows up. And now she is the same age that he is, or has, the same age, because he is stuck at 15 because that's when he died. And so this is the fall that they fall in love with each other. So it's a romantasy, and it's I don't know how you can have a happily ever after ending, but I just got out of my own way and decided that that's what I needed to do, is come up with a happily ever after.
If people want to find out more information about your books, Wendelin, whether it's the upcoming book Ghosted, The Steps, or your huge resume of novels that you've written, where can people go?
Oh, well, my website is chock full of information, pictures of the books, little descriptions, what age groups they're appropriate for, all that kind of stuff. So Wendelin, and I shortened it. I mean, my name's Wendelin Van Draanen. Draanen, which is a big mouthful, but I've shortened it to WendelinVanD.com. So anybody that goes there. But Steve, I'm interested in how my books affected you when you were in your growing years.
That's right. To put a context on that, I guess I should say, when we were talking about doing a potential interview, I did mention that my introduction to you, Wendelin, came through your Shredderman books, your 4-book Shredderman series. I was into graphic novels at a young age. I connected with your art and writing style. It was the perfect amalgam of like illustrations, but also narrative writing. And truthfully, I'll be honest, your name, going back to that, was distinct enough that it was pretty easy to find your work on my elementary school shelves. And I feel like I caught Shredderman 2 at the right time, because I think I remember it was like 2006, and then Nickelodeon made that movie the subsequent year.
Right. That was so. My kids were young at that time as well. I have to point out that I did not do the illustrations for the Shredderman books. That was done by an artist named Brian Biggs. So I want to give him credit for that. But having it turn into a Nickelodeon movie when all the kids were watching Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide, and my sons were just over the moon thrilled that the star of that show was going to be the star of the Shredderman series. And Nickelodeon did a really great job of rolling out that movie. It's Nickelodeon's first made-for-television movie. They did a really good job of rolling it out and connecting those Ned's Survival Guide with the Shredderman Rules movie. So it was a really fun experience, especially since my kids were at that age where they got to go on location and kind of meet stars and do all that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah, that had to be really cool, too. And I know that Devin Werkheiser, obviously the star, too, of Shredderman Rules and everything, too. It was just like the perfect era for all of that. And then just reading your books, too. I mean, I remember, I'd have to go back, because like Shredderman really connected with me. I can remember details of some of those books. The Gecko and Sticky series was another one as well, too, that I remember reading at least a couple of those. I'd like to go back and touch on those, too. But no, you were definitely a touchstone in my elementary school library days.
That's so awesome. I mean, I do love hearing that. And the Gecko and Sticky is one of those. It's a very short series, like Shredderman. It's a spin-off of Shredderman. Like, it's his favorite television show kind of come to life in books. And they are just so much fun. If you're an adult and you want to read a fun book to your kid, the Shredderman's fun, yes, but the Gecko and Sticky, there are so many fun alliterations, and it's a delight to read aloud to young kids. It's
ironic because I studied English in college too, but like even going up as far as like college and high school and stuff, I like the element of discovery with books and movies as well too. So it was like, I remember like in 4th grade, like my required reading, I'd have to read like 2 chapters or something. And then I'm like, well, I checked out Shredderman. I'd rather read that.
I'm happy to be your preferred choice.
Yes, indeed. And of course, too, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Flipped as well, which in my opinion, one of your best works. It's such a beautiful story. It's compellingly told. It's hard to explain maybe in just a couple of sentences. I really feel it's one of those books that like you just find yourself sinking into. It's not your average love story. And as the author, do you still feel that book's impact to this day?
I do. So Flipped It, it's interesting because I wrote it from the perspective of someone who had felt the way Julie felt about the neighbor boy. But then years and years go by and I become a high school teacher, and I see that the kids in my classroom are just doing the same thing. We do the same thing. We fall for someone because they're adorable or cute or hot or whatever, and we don't really look at the substance behind them. So when people describe Flipped as a cute book, I get a little annoyed because yes, it's a cute book, but thank you very much for saying that there is a depth to it, and the depth to it. See, and that's the thing with Kid Lit. I really think that the primary purpose of writing for children is to make them enjoy reading. And so you might have a message that you want to get across to kids. A lot of authors do. I more have things that I want them just to think about, how it's going to impact their life, to think about these things and then kind of make moves in life to get them to a place where they have that they're happy in life. But the primary thing is to have it be fun. And if all you see is the fun of a story as an adult, if you were reading a kid's book and all you see is the fun of it and you go, oh, that's a cute book, it's like you need to settle into the story and really kind of contemplate it a little more than just reading it really fast. So I'm sorry, I got off on a tangent there, but Flipped was that story that I wrote because I felt like I wish I'd had this book when I was going through all those wild emotions of having a crush on somebody for the first time. And it was one of those little, like a little book that could, is what my editor called it, because it didn't go out there with a bunch of fanfare or anything, but kids talked to each other, and then the teachers read it, and they realized that it was really good for a teaching point of view. So it kind of grew and grew and grew, and then it got translated into a bunch of foreign different languages. And I say it went all the way around the world and then landed back on Rob Reiner's desk in Hollywood. So, and of course, having the movie come out, he did this beautiful movie called Flipped. And having the movie come out reintroduced it to a whole new audience. And this past summer, I was invited to China, to the South China Book Festival, and I was the only American novelist invited to speak on the international stage. And it's an adult festival, and I didn't really understand. But I finally got the picture, and it is that the movie is big in China, but they have a whole bunch of different editions in China of Flipped that have the English for people who want to learn English, and then the Chinese. And this book has had such a huge impact on Chinese women because they told me that Julie, the main character, Julie gives me hope. Julie gives me strength. Julie makes me believe in myself. Because our cultures are very different, and in the United States we do a lot to promote our girls, but cultures are different. And in China, I think that Flipped is that book that makes them feel very hopeful about kind of a power of themselves.
It's extremely well said. Again, she's Wendelin Van Draanen, author, and author behind Flipped as well, which we're talking extensively about. The thing, too, I know I'm a film critic, too, so like my first focus has been movies for so many years. And I know they're a completely different beast when it comes to like the marketing angle and stuff. I remember when Flipped came out, though, the Rob Reiner movie in 2010, and it's a wonderful movie. It's one of my favorite movies that year. And, it made me recall the novel and everything. And I remember, I'm glad that it's getting its recognition now. I think it came on Netflix. It's more accessible now. And it's gotten sort of the attention it didn't get when it came out. I kind of felt that way about the adaptation of other books of that era, like Hoot and City of Ember. The books were huge. The movies kind of came and went so quickly. What was your reaction to the movie Flipped when it was released in 2010?
I think that I was disappointed with the manner in which it was rolled out. It won the Heartland Award. So the Heartland theaters would have done really well there, but they started out in the big cities. And this is not like a blockbuster, with a lot of special effects. You go in there for the whole, 15-dimension experience. This is a quiet story about people figuring out, what's important to them and who they want to be and who they want to be with. And so the reaction of the companies is that if it doesn't do well box office wise in its initial weekend, that then they start closing, it gets less and less exposure. Whereas I think if you had started this in a different part of the country, not in the big cities, if you had rolled it out differently, I think that there would have been a groundswell of people really going to the theater to see this film. But now, I mean, it's been streaming. It has found its little audience. I'm like The Princess Bride, which was also a Rob Reiner film. From what I understand, it didn't come out, as a blockbuster. And neither did this. Maybe this is Spinal Tap. I'm not sure. But it's like his films a lot of them have legs. And I think that I would rather, even though at the time I was very frustrated, but I would rather have it be a movie that felt like a classic film that would be continued to gain an audience as it went through time, than to have it be like this big flash that came out and then that was it. So I always try to look at things with gratitude, and even at the time I was not grateful for the way I thought I was frustrated with the way that it was rolled out. now I'm really glad that it's had this kind of growing swell behind it.
And I think I remember, too, when it came out in 2010, I want to say it came out at the end of August or beginning of September, like in wide release, too. And I'm like, that's a wonderful time to release a young adult movie. Let's put it back in theaters right when they're going back to school, right around Labor Day. That's brilliant.
Yeah. Well, again, I am so grateful for the experience of that I had with the making of this film, because Rob Reiner read the book and he loved the book, and that's not something, and he stuck to the book. And it's not something that a lot of authors can say, and so I feel really fortunate in that somehow it wound its way to him, and that he valued it the way that I would, any author would hope that a director would value their work.
We live in such a regimented culture, Wendelin. We all watch different TV shows. We watch different movies. We're on different corners of the internet. How do you market a book in this day and age? How do you try and work with your team and your publisher and everything? Give us a little inside baseball. How do you go about marketing to your target demographic?
So for me, there's the school and library angle of it, and that's big for Kidlit. So there's at the publishing house, there's somebody who's in charge of school and library. It's not so much the big splash in the big publications or the big TV shows. It's more that you want your book, like Flipped, you want your book to come out and to grow and not just be this flash. And so I think that working from the ground up like that, starting with, librarians and for the books that I've been writing lately, I've been focusing on the fact that what I write is shelvable in middle schools. Even though it's young adult, it's something that, because I was a teacher and I realized how difficult it is to be a teacher, and that you can create problems arise. And so if I, as an author, want to be respectful of teachers and what they do, I'm going to do my best to write books that don't cause them any extra problems. And so when it comes to, language or content, I work around it to a way where I know that, and teachers trust me, have come to trust me over all this time, that they can take a Wendelin Van Draanen book and put it on a middle school library shelf, even if the protagonist is 17. They can put it on their shelf. Kids like to read up. So in middle school, it's really strange. It's like no man's land. And I've devoted myself to no man's land, and I keep sounding the alarm. We need more books that these kids can read, so that they don't. A lot of them aren't ready for today's young adults, and they don't want to read what they consider to be, that was baby books for when I was in elementary school. They want something that's for them. So this is what I do, and so my focus now, there is a growing cry for books that fit that those criteria, and so my view on it is all my books do that. All my books do that. So take a look at my backlist and take a new look at my backlist, because books should be fun for kids, but they should also have content that's relevant to them. And so with Ghosted, it's a love story, but it's totally appropriate for kids in middle school. And The Steps, man, there's a lot going on there that's pretty dangerous and pretty on the edge, but it's totally appropriate for kids in middle school or early high school. That's where I sit in the young adult marketplace. So that's kind of what I want to focus on, because I feel like that area has been abandoned, with the young adult becoming more adult. And so we want kids to like to read. So that's my thing.
What else should people know about Wendelin Van Draanen?
I don't know what you'd say. I have devoted my life to this. I'm very passionate about writing because I feel like there's a real purpose for it. I was in the classroom, like I mentioned, for 15 years, and so giving up my daily interaction with students was really hard on me because I poured a lot into my teaching. So, but like I said, I try to look at the the positive thing, and so now I feel like I'm just a teacher's silent partner. I'm someone who will help them. Help kids love to read, help kids through their growing years, like to consider what path they want to be on, and all within the framework of an adventure that a protagonist, some character is taking, but that they can see themselves in and they can apply to their own life and their own choices.
Very well said. She is Wendelin Van Draanen. And real quick, too, I could probably assume, too, but I would assume you taught English or literature when you were a teacher?
You know what they say when you assume? No, I did not. I taught math and coding.
Of course. It's my next guess.
But I have to say that people don't see those going together at all, but a mystery is like a giant puzzle. And I do love a mathematical puzzle and, kind of apply that to writing mysteries.
I was going to say, if I had you as a math teacher, I might have actually done well in the class.
I love math. Math makes sense.
Yeah, some people have all the luck and all the intelligence. You're good at both math and writing and English and everything. God love you. I'm jealous.
Well, that's very sweet of you. Thank you.
Again, she's Wendelin Van Draanen. Wendelin, you are absolutely wonderful. I want to give you the final word to promote your social media, your website, anything else that you would like to end on. I want to give you the final word.
Well, thank you. I really don't like to promote myself, but I'm Wendelin Van Draanen. You can find me on my website, wendelinvand.com, and I'm same handle on Instagram and Twitter and on Facebook and wherever you just look for me. I'm on TikTok too. Find me there.
Flip, Shredderman, The Steps, her upcoming book, Ghosted. I cannot recommend her works enough. Again, Wendelin, I greatly appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much.